What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we are going to be talking about 3 wide receivers that I like here in week 10 of the fantasy football season and 3 wide receivers that I don't like. And oh, by the way, we're doing a giveaway, so make sure you stick around to find out more about that. But before wasting any more time, let's hop right into this video and let's talk about the guys that I like first. Now, the first player that I want to highlight is going to be DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks, and he gets to play at home against the Washington Commanders here this week, and I currently have him inside of the top 12 wide receivers for me on the week. That is going to make him a low-end wide receiver 1 for your fantasy football teams, and one thing we need to know about this matchup here against the Washington Commanders, like I said, is they are the 3rd easiest matchup against the quarterback position, which should mean good things for Geno Smith. Also, they are the 3rd easiest matchup against the wide receiver position, which should mean good things for DK Metcalf. So I think it is a very, very soft matchup for both Geno Smith and DK Metcalf, which is going to be good things for the Seattle offense this week. And I know that DK Metcalf, for the most part, he's been fairly consistent. He's also been fairly disappointing, I think, this year. I mean, when I look at what he has done for fantasy football, he has never finished as a wide receiver 1 for your fantasy football team so far this year. The best finish that he has so far on any given week was in week 3, where he finished as the wide receiver 19. I don't think that that is what you drafted DK Metcalf to be for your fantasy football teams, but I think this is mainly because of lack of touchdowns. He only has 2 touchdowns on the year, and ironically enough, the 2 weeks that he scored touchdowns, he still didn't even finish that high. So I think this week is going to be the first time that DK Metcalf has the ability to finish as a wide receiver 1 for your fantasy football teams, and if he scores a touchdown, I think I could almost guarantee it. Now, the second player that I want to highlight is somebody I like is going to be Michael Pittman of the Indianapolis Colts, and he gets to play on the road against the New England Patriots, and I currently have him sitting as a top 15 option at the wide receiver position. That does mean that he's likely going to be a high-end wide receiver 2 for your fantasy football lineups. And one thing about Michael Pittman is if we look over the last month of football, in that 4-game sample size, Michael Pittman has been the wide receiver 7 overall on a points per game basis and in total points. So Michael Pittman Jr. has been balling for your fantasy football teams over the last month. I think it's going to continue here in this matchup against the New England Patriots. They are currently the 7th easiest matchup against the wide receiver position for fantasy football, so a pretty soft matchup there. They also are going to be without JC Jackson. Reports are that he's staying home. He's not going to be here. He's not going to be playing. So no JC Jackson, which is one of the better corners. Not the best corner over there, but one of the better corners. And also Michael Pittman Jr. has been averaging 10 targets per game over the last month. Like I said, that span has been very, very good for Michael Pittman Jr. So a lot of volume. He's been scoring a lot of fantasy football points, and he now has 4 straight finishes as a wide receiver 2 or better for fantasy football. So I think that that is going to continue this week. A top 15 option in my book and a high-end wide receiver 2. And now the third player that I wanted to talk about as a like is going to be Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders, and he actually is playing on the road against the Seattle Seahawks. So we have that same game. This is a top 20 option for me in fantasy football. That's going to make him a mid to a low-end wide receiver 2 for your fantasy football leagues, depending on what size of league you play in. Now, one thing about McLaurin as well is he has been a wide receiver 2 or better on average over the last month. We're looking at that 4-game sample size again, like I talked about with Michael Pittman, and over this course, he has also averaged 10 targets per game, just like Michael Pittman. The only players who are seeing more targets in this span is Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Chris Olave. End of list. So Michael Pittman Jr. and Terry McLaurin are being targeted like some of the best wide receivers in football right now. The Washington Commanders, they pass the football a lot, and the matchup is going to be fine for Terry McLaurin in this one. It's not like it's a great matchup or a bad matchup either way, so I'm not too swayed by this matchup in either direction. But Terry McLaurin for me this week, he is going to be a mid to low end wide receiver 2 and a top 20 play at the wide receiver position. What's good, guys? I just had to take a second to let you guys know that I am giving away 3 NFL Legends jerseys over in my Discord. Just make sure you hit the link in the description to go over there and enter this giveaway. But we are giving away a Ricky Williams jersey, a Chad Ochocinco jersey, and a Michael Vick jersey. The only thing you have to do is be a member of that Discord. If you want to show us some love, you want to show us some support over here on the channel, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. But the only thing you need to do is go enter that Discord, and you can win yourself one of these jerseys that we are giving away on Thanksgiving Day. So make sure you guys go sign up for that giveaway. It is linked in the description, like I said, but that's not what we're here for today. So let's get back into this video and let's talk about the guys that I don't like, starting with Zay Flowers of the Baltimore Ravens. He is going to be playing against the Cleveland Browns this week, and I currently have Zay Flowers sitting outside of my top 25 wide receivers. And when we look at what Zay Flowers has been doing over the last month, he has been the wide receiver 39 over the last last month of football. It has been very disappointing for Zay Flowers, somebody who we have high hopes for, had thought that we were on the verge of a breakout. It hasn't looked like it so far. He has 6 catches for 30 yards in his last 2 games, and this matchup against the Cleveland Browns is very, very tough. They are number 2 against the wide receiver position. They're number 2 against the quarterback position, so they've been very good against both of those positions, which are going to translate to fantasy football points. I don't think this is going to be the best matchup for Zay Flowers. There could be some brighter days on the horizon with matchups against Cincinnati, the Chargers, the Rams, all in the future, but I don't think it's this week. And so for this week, I think there are better options than Zay Flowers, and I think we should be considering him a wide receiver 3 for fantasy football purposes, maybe even a flex option depending on your league size. Now, the second guy that I want to talk about, we're actually going to be staying in the same game. It's going to be Amari Cooper of the Cleveland Browns, and they obviously play on the road at the Baltimore Ravens, and he is also sitting outside of my top 30 options. And I know Amari Cooper had a very big week last week. He finished as the wide receiver 4 overall in PPR leagues, and it was a good game for him against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, that is the first time, though, that he has finished as a wide receiver 1 since week 3 of the fantasy football season against the Tennessee Titans. And I think that this matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, like I kind of mentioned before about the Cleveland Browns, them being so good against the quarterback and the wide receiver position, the Baltimore Ravens are also just as good against the quarterback and the wide receiver position. They're number 1 against the QB, number 5 against the wide receiver, and this game projects to be a low-scoring game. So for that reason, I think Zay Flowers and Amari Cooper are sits, and I have Amari Cooper outside of my top 30 as well, which is going to make him a wide receiver 3 or a flex option for you depending on the league size. And last but not least, the last player I wanted to talk about is going to be George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he gets to play against the Green Bay Packers and is currently sitting outside of my top 35 wide receivers, which is going to make him a flex play at best. And the reason why I have him here is that since Deontay Johnson has entered the lineup again for the Pittsburgh Steelers, George Pickens has been out-targeted 29-18. Deontay Johnson is clearly the number 1 target in this offense, and over the last couple games, George Pickens only has 3 catches, and last week going for -1 yards on 2 catches. It has been a rough go for George Pickens. We saw him complaining on the sideline, saying they need to get him the ball. Apparently, he doesn't know how to toe drag and get touchdowns. I don't know, man. It's been a very, very rough go for George Pickens so far. I think right now he's really just a touchdown-dependent option in an offense that doesn't throw a bunch of touchdowns. He does get a matchup here against the Green Bay Packers where I think he is going to be covered by Jair Alexander for at least a good portion of this game, who is one of the better corners in football. And like I said, this is a low passing volume offense. I just don't see the ceiling for George Pickens here without a touchdown. Now, there is a world where he goes and gets that touchdown this week and this take looks wrong, but I think he is just a touchdown dependent option and more so a flex for your fantasy football leagues this week. Now, for those of you following along at home, if you want to take some of these plays over on Underdog Fantasy's Pick'ems, we do like the 42.5 rushing receiving yards as a lower, the 41.5 receiving yards for George Pickens as a lower, the 63.5 receiving yards for McLaurin as a higher, Metcalf is a higher, Pittman is a higher. This is kind of the guys that we were talking about. You guys know the data. If you like the picks, take them. If you don't like them, don't take them. But if you do want to take these picks, go over and sign up at Underdog Fantasy. Use code League FFB when you sign up because they are going to give you a 100% deposit match. 5 out of 5 correct on a play like that gives you 20 times your entry. So make sure you guys go over and play on Underdog Fantasy and use code League FFB or use the link in the description when you do sign up to take that. Now, that is all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that like button. That is the best free way to show our channel some support. Go ahead and comment down below any start sit questions or anything else you have for me this week. I'll make sure to answer as many of those as possible before the game start on Sunday. And make sure you are subscribed to this channel so you get more videos like this each and every day. And last but not least, make sure you are a member of that Discord. Go join that Discord so you can enter that giveaway and hopefully win yourself one of those jerseys. Now, with all of that being said, I will see you guys on our next video. And until then, peace out.